Yeah.
Okay. Today, a reader, tomorrow, a leader is a saying we use to inspire our children to start reading, and rightly so. Hello, and welcome to the very first author interaction of Russell Book Club, an initiative by Rahul Suri, and to promote the very healthy and lifelong habit of reading and learning. So as an educator myself, I endorse this life skill in my classroom all the time. Rahul Suri reached out to me 2 weeks ago to come on board this club. And I was in the process of looking at a book that I had written about 4 years ago, and I was trying to see how I could publish it. So as they say, what you seek seeks you. And he started this last year during lockdown when the world was first hit by the unknown enemy, COVID. A very interesting trivia is that Shakespeare himself was in quarantine during the plague in the 16th century in London. And he wrote King Lear. So anything is possible when you put your mind to it. Rahul is a passionate writer himself. He has organized several literature fests, and he's done so much more, wants to do so much more. He's put together this amazing people from all across the world on board for Russell Book Club. I had the opportunity of interacting with them a couple of days ago. With the magic of technology, we are able to see each other, and they will be contributing their expertise from wherever they are. So there's lots that he plans to do, but due to the paucity of time, I'm not able to, clearly put down everything. The interesting thing is, when he reached out to me, I was a little apprehensive, uh, you know, but then I asked him, what do you do? What else do you do apart from the book club? And he said, I'm yet to give my 12th exams. I'm 18 years old. So that was very endearing for me. Such a young age, taking on this formidable task. As an educator, we have this moral responsibility to do what we can to aid our children. And that is the reason I got on board pro bono to be able to make a small contribute a small part to this larger picture, right? So kudos to you, Rahul. I really am in awe of what you are doing at your age, right? And today we have a very interesting, for the very first interview, we have Enakshi with us. She's from Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh, and she has this amazing lineup of work that she has been doing. She's just 30 years old. I know when she messaged me, I said, okay, you're still very young and a long way to go. She's an educator, author, and a traveler, so a wanderlust like myself. Her articles have appeared in the Speaking Tree. Enakshi, I read the Speaking Tree, where, I'm a big fan of the Speaking Tree. I have turned several of the Speaking Tree stories into dramas for my children in school because they have such solid morals. Very interesting. She also writes for Women's Era, Alive, Infinite Thoughts, Sivana Spirit, Women's Web, Effection India, and Indus Women Writing. Her stories and poems have been, appreciated widely. And she writes a weekly editorial, odds and evens, for a social journalism platform called Different Truths. And she has conceptualized and edited 3 books: Unbounded Trajectories, Poison Ivy and Cryptic Encounters, and her poetry collection called The Green Giants, and her novel Star-Crossed, released in 2020 worldwide. Amazing, Enakshi. Such a joy to speak to you today, and what an impressive lineup of work. It sets the bar for Russell Book Club and the authors to come. So pleasure and welcome to the very first author interaction.
Thank you so much. I'm glad I could join again.
Yeah, and at a very short notice, I must say. Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, so I have a few questions for you. It's going to be really trite, but the reason is, as a teacher, I'm looking at my students of age group 10 to 18 to benefit from what you have to say. So, very simple questions, like I said, very hackneyed, but I am sure it's going to help a lot of students. I have students come up to me who want to blog, who want to write, who don't know how to go about it. So it's lovely. My first question is, who inspired you, or what inspired you to start writing, and at what age did you start?
I think this, I have always given one single answer for this one. It was my English teacher. She taught me
Okay.
in 11th and 12th.
Hmm.
And that's how I started having an inclination towards literature, especially critiquing literature.
Hmm.
And I didn't know at that time, and this is back 10 years back, you didn't have that clear scope in mind what you want to pursue. So
Hmm.
obviously taking up literature as our main focus of career was nowhere in question because I didn't know about it. So I
Okay.
ended up taking biotechnology, but then it was in the last year of college that I took to full-time writing because
Yeah.
call it happenstance, one of my stories got selected. So that
Okay.
propelled me to start blogging, and then eventually all this fell into place.
Wonderful. So your English teacher standard 11 and 12. That's a beautiful age to start writing. So earlier in your high school, you must have been really interested to write down your essays, compositions. Were you
Yes,
interested?
I yes, very much. I think the whole class used to borrow my English notes, especially in 11th and 12th, because I'm from ICSE board. So we
Okay.
have that concept of long answer type questions.
Huh, huh, huh.
So I used to give my notes, and then essays were one of my favorite topics, even though I didn't score that high, but it was fun to write.
Yes, yes. So if you really enjoy it, that's what I tell my students. Enjoy what you do. Eventually, somebody is going to take note of it. So when you're growing up, like, by the time you get to high school, you kind of have this, I want to be this or that. What did you think you wanted to do?
I wanted to be everyone. It's strange because I was totally drawn towards movies. So anything new happened in the movie, I wanted to become that. Even that happens now. Yeah, if I would see a girl being a footballer in a movie, I would want to become a footballer. So there was
Okay,
nothing
okay,
concrete. Honestly,
okay,
this light bulb moment, as you say, no, happened in the last year of college. Everything happened in the last year of college somehow.
okay, yeah.
That's when I realized that writing has to become a part of my life.
Okay. So you are an educator. My earlier
Yes.
conversation with you, I understand you are an educator. So how do you manage your time? How do you give your time to writing and also do your full-time job?
It somehow I generally write in the evenings or at night, and
Okay.
I ensure that my work schedule is complete within those morning hours.
Mm-hmm.
So as of now, it has been going really well because I finish the schoolwork and everything in the morning and afternoons, and the
Mm-hmm.
nights are saved for writing. So that way, it's okay. I think there's some kind of energy that drives me to write because if I don't do it for some days, I
Yeah.
feel guilty. But I wouldn't feel guilty if I don't teach for some days. So that kind of
Yeah.
makes it
That
proper.
that's called passion, isn't it? When you're
Yes.
passionate about something, you just get the energy from nowhere. So, from your answer, I understand, Enakshi, that discipline is very important. When you want to
Definitely.
do something, time management and discipline, so you are able to achieve everything that you want to for that particular day. And I always feel a little progress is good progress than no nothing at all, right? So like you
Yes.
said, you plan your day really well. You do your daytime job, and then you sit to writing in the nights, and you are driven. So therefore you feel, the surge of energy, and you are able to do it. Because many
Yes.
of our students would want to take up alternative careers but would have a passion for writing like yourself. So it is good for them to know that they need to be disciplined or they'll be all over the place, right? So your books, how long did it take you to write them?
The Green Giants, which is a poetry collection, was more of an experiment, and it didn't have a set timeline because as and when I traveled, these poems used to be written on a rough piece of paper,
Uh,
and then eventually, just because I wanted to try out KDP, so I
okay.
thought of compiling it together and just self-publishing it. Star-Crossed was the main project, and it went on for 5 long years. In fact, 5.5, because I was stuck with the climax and I didn't know. There was some debate in the mind because I wanted something and I knew the readers wouldn't like it. So that kind of debate delayed it for 5.5 years. And eventually, after, again, I had to be more disciplined because I knew if this wouldn't take any form, then it was of no use. So then finally, thankfully, it was released last year.
Wonderful. See, you make another very interesting point, Enakshi, one that I went through myself. So I wrote this book 4 years ago, and there was a fear of how it is going to be accepted because certain things were antisocial. Okay. And so I had this fear and I just put it away. But now I've kind of, gathered up enough courage to say, I'm going to put it out there. It's my work, it's my thought process, whether anyone likes it or not. I'm not going to be bothered about that. Is that okay to think like that? Or
Yes, it's actually, I did 2-3 workshops on the same thing, whether to treat your audience as the only measuring criteria or to treat your thoughts as that measuring criteria. And what I learned as an overall summary of those workshops was to basically learn the art of influencing the audience first and then try to put your point. And also never compromise on what you're trying to convey.
Yes.
So I think with the first book now released, and obviously it was a success. For me, it was a success. But then yes, if you look at the reviews, there are mixed reviews. People are talking about how the climax was something they did not expect, and it ruined the plot for them, something like that. So I am fine with it because I knew it somehow. So now for the next project, I already have a theme in mind, and I know it won't be accepted. But this time, I'm more confident to put it across.
Lovely. That was my next question. What are you planning to do next after this? You already have a very impressive lineup. So what are you working on currently?
The second book, hopefully, I have no set timeline, like I said, because I know this is something, even if you are disciplined, in fact, if you are disciplined, it might just end up being a mess. So as the flow comes, it's just going. I've started on it. It's a book again based on 2 women, and the theme is based on friendship and forgiveness. Like the theme is a little different, that not always forgiveness is going to give you peace. So it's again a little off track.
Okay, wonderful. That's your thought process, and that's what you bring, your uniqueness to the book. That's lovely. So don't fear, put your thoughts out there, and let it take its own journey.
I think that's what we teach. Which subject do you teach?
I teach literature. So I'm an engineer basically, but then somehow got dragged to teaching. Like you, I had a wonderful teacher in my high school. It's total awe of her. So there was this thing to go technical and, do what the others are doing. But my heart was always in literature and drama. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so yeah, coming back to what you said, that was lovely, because oftentimes we hold ourselves back and think that we have to please the audience. The audience has to like it, but this is what I am thinking. So you made, I think that is the pivotal point you made today, that,
Actually,
you are unique.
I asked you this question because I also teach English, and this thing somehow, at this young age, the age that you mentioned, 10 to 18 years, that's the crux when students can actually form an opinion and gather that courage to put it across. Because I have it in my school as well. When we discuss literature, I think you would have encountered the same. Some of the kids are very shy to express if they do not agree with what the author or the poet is trying to say. So to build that confidence, it gives you a little different kind of joy when they come up with different kind of interpretations.
Yes, a different take, something unique. I encourage that. I tell them that this is how you are thinking. That's brilliant. It may not be right, but then it's brilliant. That's the uniqueness. Wonderful. So you are working on a book currently now. As a teacher and an author, I think it's a marriage made in heaven. So what would be your suggestions to students on how to improve their writing and specifically their vocabulary?
See, I have what I tell my students, I'll tell you the same thing. In our school, our teachers used to tell us to read books and, remember words, try to use them. But it actually, honestly, never worked out for me. however many books I read, it was just for the sake of entertainment. And I
Okay.
would just go deeper into the characters, enjoy the story, and then I would forget about it. So
Okay.
I don't think reading, if you're especially reading to increase your vocabulary, it's going to benefit you
Mm,
unless you start reading it. So I tell
mm.
my students to pick up the words from the text because eventually they have to learn them and
Yes.
then apply them in their essays.
Every.
So far, some of the students have definitely claimed that it worked for them.
Yeah.
And as far as writing part is concerned, I am a grammar fanatic. So if your writing is not correct, it's
Mhm.
not going to touch the audience somehow. I have this thing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's another reason why I first edited and conceptualized anthologies, because I wanted to test my editing skills. And only
Mm,
then I went for the book because I didn't want to risk it.
mm.
So there
Wonderful.
are two
Yeah.
aspects again, vocabulary and grammar, that have to be worked on before you
Yes.
start writing anything.
Yes, yes. That's a brilliant and very, very important point you make there. And like you, I do the same thing, the words in their lessons, in their prose, in their poetry. I tell them to simply use it at home in conversation, with their brothers or parents. They may think you're nuts, but that's fine. Just practice it in your vocabulary. Then it becomes a part of your vocabulary and it comes to you when you are writing. Brilliant,
Yes,
Enakshi. I wish I could talk to you more, but like the time constraint. I hope you can come on again and we can do a specific, points on writing and so on.
definitely.
It's such a joy to talk to you. You being a teacher as well. And thank you so much. I think Rahul wanted to thank you as well. Rahul, are you there? And to our viewers, I would say keep reading, read for pleasure, read for mental stimulation, read to de-stress, for whatever, just read. I think books and chocolates make life worthwhile. Yes, Rahul.
Yes.
Yes. You want to say something to Enakshi?
So sorry. Yeah, this is Rahul's ghost voice where he wants to convey his thanks and appreciation to both of you lovely English teachers, both of you who transformed into writers.
Not clear,
Both of
ma'am.
you.
Ma'am, could you come closer to the mic?
Okay. Rahul would like to express his gratitude to both of you, lovely people, readers, writers, and inspiration for the youth. If you can get converted into writers, I'm sure you will inspire many of your students also to take up this particular, I mean, make use of the talent that you nurture in their minds while you're them. Like the
Yeah. And thanks to Rahul for
vocabulary.
initiating all of this and for connecting Enakshi and myself. I'm sure I'm going to keep in touch with her and to help create more authors, writers, and poets. Thank you, Rahul. Thank you, Enakshi. It was a wonderful meeting.
Same
And
here. Thank you for having
yes,
me.
yes. And the very first interview, you made it brilliant by being here with us and all the things you spoke about. So for more, we look forward to more interactions, for more inspiring interactions with many more authors, hopefully in the coming weeks. Do come back, Enakshi, for another, we can talk more. Thank you.
Definitely.
Thank you
Thank you.
and bye-bye. Bye.
Bye bye.